Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. Thank you all for joining me once again. I came across a very interesting article. It's very short, but it's very interesting. I got it off of Newsbreak, which is an online news source. Is kind of leans towards the left a little bit, sometimes in the middle. And this article is very interesting. And I'm going to read this to you guys, and I'm going to read some of the comments and responses to the article later on after I read the article. But it's very interesting. It has to do with apparently a white person who is proud to be white and proud to be in the Western civilization, and they're not ashamed of it at all. And they let it be known in this article. So I'm going to read this article to you guys. We're going to get right into our discussion, but I think there's a lot that can be learned from this. And of course, there are going to be a lot of opinions about this. I'm going to read some of those opinions, and man, we're going to get right into this. So let's get right into this article. It says, it doesn't have a title. Let me take that back. It says Based Farm Girl. Okay, that's the name of the, I guess that's the name of the not the article, but the name of the site. I guess it's an Instagram site. But anyway, this is the symbol, if you can see it. Okay. What that symbol means, I have no clue. But anyway, it says, I'm proud to be white. I refute white guilt, and I love Western civilization and everything it has done for the savage world. I'm not apologizing for anything. I'm proud of my race, everything it has done. There is an ethnic cleansing of whites happening in their own nations, a genocide that will be far worse than anything ever seen before. Now, I think that right there stands out because a lot of people may not look at it that way, but it has been reported that in certain countries in Africa, there are what could be deemed genocides, or I would argue mass slaughterings of white farmers. That has been documented that have been happening by bands of blacks who feel like the colonization of their country and colonization of different areas being taken over by whites should be taken back by force. And so a lot of these whites are being slaughtered, according to some numbers, in the thousands. Now, whether or not that's genocide or not could be argued, but the point is, it has been documented that is happening, and I'm pretty sure it is happening, and I don't think it's some kind of conspiracy theory or conservative conspiracy theory. That's a bunch of nonsense. I believe it is true. Now, this is what I believe this individual is referencing, okay? She goes on to say, but the Zoomer generation is turning. We see it. We see the ethno-nationalism is the future. We will take our nations back from invaders. Millions will remigrate. What that means. We'll secure an existence for our people. Now, here's what people may look at this as being racist, okay? But I'm going to explain to you my opinion on why I believe this person is talking like this. We'll secure our existence for our people. Our nations will be ours again, and there will be a future for white children. And we will never look back, feel guilt, or apologize. Ever. And it has at the bottom cultural pride and proud American, no white guilt, proud of my culture, immigration debate, white pride. And here's some of the responses to this article. Some of the people responded. Try being proud of being human, as there's no such thing as a white person. It is. You know, you got white people, black people, Asian people. Anyway. Actually, there is. It's somebody else. This has been well established for thousands of years in advance of the study of eugenics. This was abolished by the Jew. The idea that race and gender are a social construct is a Jewish ideal meant to erode nation and racial pride. Okay. Another one says liberty will survive. Okay. The other one, wait a minute, hold on, let me read it. The other one's by Ronald Johnson. The second one was by D. Can. I don't know what that means. Third one, it says, this is about liberty will survive. It says, oh yeah, every day on this app, we are told how white people are, how we should be ashamed, embarrassed, and humiliated by our ancestors and not proud of our heritage of culture. I am proud to be what I am. The difference between us is that I want you to be proud of you too. Everyone should be allowed without fear to be proud of their heritage, family, and skin color. I think so. I don't see the problem with that. There are some people of color that are so full of hate while hating their brother, they hate themselves. Vicky Vegas says this: I am glad that you are proud to be white. White power is what is destroying our country, economy, tourism, and jobs. Here we go with another fool. Whites who support, here we go. Whites who support Trump and Republicans are voting against their own interests. Now, how is whites voting for Trump and Republicans voting against their own interests? This person that made this comment, what do you know about the interests of any of these white people? Do you know their thoughts? See, people say stupid stuff, and that's why they get cussed out. Because they say stupid stuff. That's a stupid response. Even though it's a response, it's a stupid response, and I don't mind saying it. There's another racist Dumbo. Anyway, William Thomas says, I'm a real Republican, and Trump is not a Republican. The Democrat Party has always been racist. Okay. All right. Daniel Noer says, this can't wait until white people are a minority. Wow. William Thomas says this: why does skin color matter? And Ghost says this is interesting: a racist proud of being a racist. Interesting. Also, this land was never yours to begin with. I'm going to end it right there. I'm ending it on the note of his person saying their land was not theirs to begin with. I'm not going to even go into the detail of that. In other words, referencing the fact that the Indians were here before the Europeans were. The problem with that was that there was another group of people that were here before the Indians were here. You nutbag. Could you say that the Indians took over their land? I'm not going to get into the details of that, but the land was inhabited by other races before the Indians came over here. But what an argument you're going to make on that? But anyway, I wanted to end it up because I thought that was a very, very interesting piece written. Now, as I said earlier, some may interpret particularly the latter portion of that article, of that speech rather, as being racist. But let's assume that, well, let me reverse it. Let's just say, for instance, this person is speaking this way. Is it possible that the reason why this person is speaking this way about being proud to be white and proud of their culture and proud of the West, aren't they speaking this way because they're being, as white people, they're being demonized? And white people are being demonized. At one point, yes, in America, blacks were ostracized. They were belittled. They were demonized. They were seen as unintelligent and all the rest. Yes, that was what was happening. But two freaking wrongs don't make a right. Just because it happens to black people many years ago don't mean that it's okay for us to do the same thing with white people today. What we ought to be doing is moving on rather than trying to do the same thing that white people in decades and decades in the past have done to black people in the past. Okay, that's stupid, dumb, and ignorant. So no, that's dumb. But getting back to this person, I believe perhaps she feels this way because whites are being demonized in modern America. And it's perfectly okay. When black people attack white people, whether it's verbal or physical, you hardly hear anything of it on the news. And when you do, it's real fast and over. And it's swept under this rug like as if it never happened. But let a white person do something, or let a white person criticize a black person, even though that black person certainly needed to be criticized because they were acting like an idiot, like a degenerate fool. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. The white person is racist. It is true that white people in America are being demonized. They're being blamed for every wrong thing that is going on in this country. And a lot of white people are getting tired of being stigmatized like this. Now, before Trump was in office, under the Biden administration, a lot of white people was afraid to come out and say what they really felt. And when I say afraid to say what they really felt, I'm not talking about racist white people. I'm not talking about that nonsense. I'm talking about white people who were not racist, but are proud of being white. They're not ashamed to be white. But yet to say that you're proud to be white under the Biden administration was to be the worst thing in the world, which is interesting because Biden was white, an old, ugly white man. No offense, but he was an old, ugly, haggardy, pimp, freaky white man pushing the spirit of hate towards his own people, because that's what he was doing. He may not have said it verbally, but he was doing it in an indirect way to support the far left radical goon bags that helped put his butt in office. And so what was happening, there was a lot of white people were feeling disenfranchised under the Biden administration. They couldn't express their opinions about things that was going on in the country that unfortunately a lot of black people was doing and was getting away with it. With this all under the guise of, well, you did it to our ancestors, so we'll do it to you. Payback time. It's the stupidest thing in the world. First of all, if you're a freaking adult, you shouldn't be thinking about no payback time. You should be thinking about doing something to better your life. You go on. Anyway, this is how they were feeling. Okay, I believe. This is how I believe this individual who wrote this article piece was and is feeling. And now they're at the point, you know what? They're like, you know what? I'm proud to be white. I'm proud to be a part of the West. And if you really look at it, this individual has a lot of legit points, because there is a lot of things that white people in general have done that have helped not only America, but have helped people all over the world. They've been demonized and stigmatized to be the worst of the worst, but that's just not true. If anybody take the time to just pick up a book and read, and I'm not talking about this liberal communist nonsense that's all designed to keep us divided. I'm talking about real history that's not been tainted and reformed and revitalized and all this other kind of foolishness. I'm talking about real history, Western history and Western civilization. It has contributed a vast amount of benefits to all people all over the world. Technology, medicine, you name it. Look at the stuff we have. We have electricity, running water. All of these type of things we have was created by white business people who had a big vision and wanted to make life easier for people in America and people all over the world. But people in America, I'm speaking specifically about Americans, and wanted to make life easier for Americans. So they came up with these ideas to make life easier. And they did. Look at our life is easier because of these things. We have electricity, we have running water, we have heat. We don't have to live in huts and all this other kind of stuff. All in the name of being proud. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being proud, but me personally, I'd rather be proud with some running water, heat in my house, and some light. I don't have to I don't have to leave out here to go to some shack somewhere or some well in the middle of the night, rats running all around me trying to get some water. I don't have to light a bunch of candles and sit in the candlelight reading stories all day. I got electricity. Electricity. Okay. All right. That's what I got. You know, that's what we all as Americans have. And a lot of this stuff is attributed to white people. It is what it is. I mean, I know people don't like it. I know a lot of blacks don't like it. But why would I sit up here and decide, no? Well, no, come on, man. What's real is real. What's true is true. What's factual is what's factual. It is what it is. Let's go on and be proud of who we are, what we've contributed to the world, and move on. But even at that, I believe that this is what this white person was feeling. And that's why she said what she said. Now, some of those comments, of course, was decent. Some of them in the middle of the ground. Some of them was stupid and straight out racist. I heard with the one talking about something, I can't wait till the white people is a minority. I mean, what do they mean by that? I guess they meant that the white race will become there will be less and less white people in this country eventually in the future than there are now because of, I don't know, mass immigration. I don't know. I don't know. But let's assume that that's the case. Is it going to make America better? I'm making a comment on the comment in the section there about the individual talking about something where I can't wait till whites are a minority. Okay. Based on that foolish statement, let's assume that whites become a minority in this country, either by mass immigration or whatever, or whatever. You know, a bunch of immigrants come over here from other countries that are not white, and they come over here and fill up everything, and they become the majority, and the whites become the minority. Is this country going to become better? Are we going to become better in morals? Are we going to become better in technology? Are we going to become better in entertainment? Are we going to become better in medicine? Are we going to become better in what? Are we going to become better? Is anything going to be added to this country that will benefit this country? If that be the case, if whites become the minority based on mass immigration. The other alternative would be to genocide. Is that what that person is suggesting? Because I hope not. I hope not. Because if so, this person is sick and disgusting, and I wouldn't have nothing to do with them. What we going to talk about? You a demon in human flesh. Get out of my face. Man, I can spend time and time we're going to talk about how beneficial the Western civilization has been to humanity. Okay, the whole concept of multiculturalism is goofy, because multiculturalism is a philosophy or a belief that all cultures are equal, right? All cultures are equal, and all cultures bring something to the bed, or rather the platform, if you will, of humanity, some good to the platform of humanity. Therefore, they're all equal. But that's not true. All cultures are equal in the sense that they're human. All cultures are equal in the sense that they got eyeballs and ears and whatever. They're human. That's what makes them equal. But all cultures do not bring the same benefits to the table of humanity that benefit all humanity. It is what it is. It is the white culture. It is the Western culture, and America in particular, that has brought the most to the platform of humanity, that have benefited humans all over the world, and America in particular. That's just the truth. That's not my opinion. Now, that's not stuff people like to hear. It bothers them, but it don't bother me. You want to know why it don't bother me as a black person? Because I'm not hung up in my blackness. Me being black doesn't define me. So whether or not another race, like the white people, put more on the platform of humanity and benefit of humanity more than the black race, it don't bother me none. I'm getting the benefits. Why is it going to bother me? Well, I'm upset. We ain't do nothing. We ain't put nothing on the platform of on the table of humanity to benefit all humans. I'm upset. I'm depressed. My whole identity is tied up into that. Man, my identity is not tied up into my race. My identity is tied up into two concepts. What God says about me, I'm a son of the Most High. I'm one of God's sons through the new birth. And I'm who I am. I define myself, not my race. I like what I like. I do what I do, and if people don't like it, tough titties. Forgive my French. Get out of my face. I don't care. I'm too old to be debating with people over childish stuff like that. Now, having said that, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's the Western culture that has benefited more on the table of humanity than any other culture. This is a fact. Now, going back to this individual, okay, people can interpret what she said any way they want to. As I said earlier, she probably feels victimized herself, and probably there's a philosophical saying that says based on psychology, that states that when people are under pressure and they're under pressure, they feel like they're being attacked, and bad things are going on around them, they tend to associate with people like people. They tend to form tribes, if you will. This group will join this group will join that group, this group of people, and they tend to form tribes based on identity. And this particular individual that wrote this particular piece, I feel, in my opinion, that she's just saying, you know what, look, I'm tired of being victimized. Look, I know that whites have done horrible things throughout humanity, but I also know that we have done some great things throughout humanity. As one individual white person said in a TikTok video, who was also getting tired of being made to feel guilty for being white, he said out of his own mouth, and I'm paraphrasing his words, he said, I'm getting sick and tired of being told that I'm nobody, I'm evil because I'm white. He says, look, we may not be the best of all the races, but we're not the worst either. And he named the same things that I named, all the benefits and things that whites have contributed to humanity. Nobody else has done it. And let me say this, and let me sum the video up on this. Another thing that's overlooked about America is slavery. The left used to always throw the slavery stuff up there all the time, slavery stuff. This just goes to show you how ignorant a lot of these people on the left are. They don't do no reading that's outside of the paradigm that they used to reading or hearing about. If they expand outside the scope, which they're not going to do because they're brainwashed and dumb, but if they expand outside the scope of what they've been so used to reading and hearing, they'd understand that it was America and Britain that stopped slavery. The difference between America and other countries in terms of slavery was that America stopped it. America put a stop to it. But right now, in certain countries in Africa, you still have slaves. Now, I'm pretty sure somebody's going to try to justify it. Well, the reasons for this is because of economic reasons. You big dummy. It was for economic reasons when in the American slavery, Dumbo. What's the difference? What's wrong is wrong. It is what it is, man. People just say it's crazy stuff. But anyway, I wanted to respond to that because I think that's a very, very good piece. And I understand what this woman is feeling, and I feel her pain. And unfortunately, it shouldn't have to come to that. But right now, our country has been infiltrated in every conceivable way, and I always say this, by Marxists. They have infiltrated every institution in our country. Politics, religion, church denominations, entertainment, everything, every institution, the Marxists have infiltrated, and their goal is to conquer and divide in order to create a Marxist revolution, get everybody fighting each other, blood spills, and then guess what? They come in, clean up the pieces, and take over and get rid of all the useful idiots, either by throwing them in jail or offering them at the firing range and creating a one world global socialist / communist government. That's the bigger picture goal. So this is why we see stuff like this. This is why we see people reacting like this individual I just read. That's the whole goal, to get everybody to be separated in tribes. But if we understand that we all bleed red blood, ain't nobody aliens. We all, I hope not. I'm pretty sure some of the celebrities are, and some of these politicians are. And I don't say that jokingly neither. I say that for real. I believe in reptiles. I believe in the reptilian race. Yes, I do. Y'all. Oh, you conspiracy theories. Oh, yeah, okay. There's a little bit more to it than people know. But anyway, I ain't gonna say too much here. At the end of the day, we all bleed red blood. At the end of the day, when we have to defecate, we all get on the toilet. We don't defecate standing up. I'm just saying, unless you have no choice. It is what it is. We're all human. We may come from we may have different shades of skin. We may have different cultures. We may speak different languages, but at the end of the day, we are all human. But the Marxists who have infiltrated our institutions